今回 as such をテーマにしました。such as という英語表現みんなご存知だと思いますが、今回その逆 as such ではなく such as どっち今回は as such ですね。意味が全く違いますね。このテーマにするかどうかちょっと悩みました。正直に言いますとね。こんなややこしい英語をちゃんと解説できるかなとちょっと不安になってしまいまして、とりあえず頑張りますね。as such は厳密な意味でそのもの ではないけれど、なんていうのかな、似たような状況や役割であることを表す表現ですね。例えば、I'm not an English teacher as such, but I help people with their English. 日本語で言うと、私は厳密には英語の先生ではないけれど、みんなの英語を手伝ってますという意味になりますね。この表現を使うことで、英語の先生ではないけれど、似たようなことをしているというニュアンスが加わります。同様に、I didn't run a marathon as such, but it felt like one to me. 私は厳密にはマラソンを走ったわけではないけれど、自分にとってはそれぐらいきつかったという意味になります。要するに、厳密には何々ではないけれど、似たような役割が状況という感じですね。そうやって使いますね。あとは、正確には何々とは言えないけど、あとはもう一つね、何々そのものではないのですが、という感じで使います。読んじゃってますね。すみませんね。難しいです。大丈夫ですか？ちょっと難しいですね。Anyway, let's get straight into it. Let's start off with the basics. You may have noticed that in my videos from time to time, I really do use the expression as such, or not mistakes as such. You know why I use it? Because I like it. It's just one of those things that I've grown up saying, and now I'm a middle-aged man and I'm still saying it. You know, just one of those things. Everybody has their things. Now, there are actually two different ways to use the expression as such, but just to keep things simple, I'm going to focus on just one of them, the same one that I talked about in the introduction before in Japanese. So the basic sentence structure goes a little something like this. Not something something as such, but something something. I'm not an English teacher as such, but I help people with their English. Of course, you can make sentences in many different ways, but let's stick with this pattern just to get a feel for how it all works. I'm going to give you 10 useful example sentences. I've made them with nouns, adjectives, and verbs. Let's start off with the first one. He's not a scientist as such, but he does have a deep understanding of environmental issues. So you can see we're using as such. He's not a scientist as such, but he's kind of similar to one, if you know what I mean. Now, an alternative expression, just to give you a deeper understanding, would be something like this. Although he's not an actual scientist, so you could change those around and it would basically mean the same thing, but when we're using as such, sounds kind of cool. The task isn't complicated as such, but it does take some time to complete. Now, an alternative phrase would be, the task isn't really all that complicated. That's basically saying the same thing. Now, the word complicated is also a very useful word. It means there are a lot of details and it's not quite as simple as it may first appear. It's complicated. It's often used for talking about plans or how to use something, and sometimes for human relationships. I don't go swimming as such, but I enjoy splashing around in the pool in the summer. An alternative would be, I don't go swimming in the traditional sense. So meaning, when everybody thinks of swimming, they think you're actually swimming up and down and up and down, and like it's like training, it's like exercise. So I don't go swimming as such, but I do get into the pool. It looks like swimming, but it's not really swimming. It's not swimming as such. I'm not a fitness trainer as such, but I love sharing my workout routines with others. So an alternative way to say this one would be, I'm not a professional fitness trainer. I'm not a qualified trainer. I've never had any official training. So I'm not a fitness trainer as such, but because I have the ability to teach other people and I want to share my techniques and routines with other people, I'm kind of similar, but not the same. I'm a fitness trainer, not a fitness trainer as such. The project isn't overwhelming as such, but it does have a lot of moving parts. So another way to say this would be, in reality, it's not all that overwhelming. So the other interesting expression there is when something has a lot of moving parts. You can say, it has a lot of moving parts, or there are a lot of moving parts. Now, it's usually used with a lot of. It's kind of like a set. It basically means there is a lot of stuff going on. Next.
Oh, lovely.
Next.
I'll be there in no time.
Next. Passport. There you go, young man. What brings you to the US?
I'm in show business. I'm here to start work on Broadway.
Are you an actor?
No, not as such. I'm a director, lovey. I tell the actors what to do.
And what's the name of the play?
Back to the Future, the musical. Well, technically, it's not a play as such. It's a musical. And it stars my good friend, Roger Bart.
Roger Bart? He's one of my favorite musical stars.
You don't say, lovey. He's a great actor, isn't he? Here, have a ticket.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't accept gifts.
Oh, well. Come and see the show if you have time.
I will. Welcome to the US.
Thank you, lovey. Well, I've got to go and get my limousine now. Cheerio. Break a leg.
I don't play video games as such, but I enjoy playing a few casual games on my phone. So another way to say this would be, I'm not literally a gamer. So when you think of someone talks about playing video games, it's like you're sitting in front of the screen and you've got your controllers and you're like really into it. But although you're still playing video games, it's just like it's on your phone, so it's not so serious. So you can say, I don't play video games as such in the traditional sense, but I still play video games on my phone. She's not a professional artist as such, but her paintings are displayed in local galleries. So an alternative way to say this would be, painting is not her bread and butter. So if something is your bread and butter, it means it's your main source of income. So this English school that I'm sitting in right now, this is my bread and butter job. The food isn't spicy as such, but has a nice kick to it. So another way to say this would be, the food, it isn't overly spicy. So I like that expression, it has a nice kick to it. This means that the food has just the perfect level of spiciness, so it's not spicy as such, but it's enjoyably hot and spicy. I don't garden as such, but I like tending to my houseplants. So another way to say this would be, I don't actually do yard work in a garden. So when people imagine someone doing gardening, you imagine they're out there, they're under the sun for 3 or 4 hours, they're working hard, they're digging, they're cutting, they're planting. But no, in this case, I don't garden as such. So she's just, or he or she is just doing, some light gardening, but it could still possibly be classified as some kind of gardening. He's not an author as such, but he writes short stories that he shares online. So he's not like a real author, but he does a job or he does activities which are very similar. So an alternative phrase would be, he's never had his work actually made into a book. But the things that he's doing, he's still writing short stories and he's giving them to the people to enjoy, but he's not an author as such.
Olive! All ready for your birthday party? I suppose so. Nah, I booked us a table at Sazenka. Is it Japanese food? It's not Japanese food as such. Not Japanese food as such? What do you mean? The chef says he conveys Japanese spirit through Chinese technique. Yes, well, it's basically Chinese food. Ah. Well, what do you say we get this party started right now? Here. What's this? Is it lemonade? Well, it's not lemonade as such, but it'll loosen you up. Oh, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday.
It's homework time. Now remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. And if you thought this video was useful in any way, please remember to leave a thumbs up. It would really help out the channel. Now, today's question is about the skit which we had with the immigration officer. Do you remember? You might have to go back and check it to answer the question. Here is the actual question. What is the name of the musical star they were talking about in the immigration skit? Okay, so put your answers down in the comments below and I'll check them as soon as I have time. Now, by the way, usually at the end of these videos, I leave a link to one of my videos, but this time I'm going to be leaving a link to that particular musical. Back to the Future, the musical. There's a trailer, I think it's about 2 minutes long, and you can see what the musical actually looks like, because Back to the Future is one of my favorite, all-time favorite movies, and I would love to go to Broadway to see this musical. It looks really cool. Definitely check out this link, okay?